Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to just be covering the live letter from the producer part 17 that was broadcast today on the 23rd of August 2014. They did today a 14-hour live stream as part of the 1-year anniversary for Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn, but unfortunately it was all in Japanese, so I didn't really, other than seeing a few videos, I wasn't really following it much. But one thing they always do is they post on the official forums the question and answers that have been roughly translated. So as you can see here, I will include this link in the description as well. These are all the question and answers that were asked during the live letter. So I'm going to read through them, I'm going to give my interpretation of them, and that's it. So question 1, in patch 2.4 you'll be introducing a Japanese-esque job ninja, but will you be adding other Japanese-esque furnishings or other elements? And they said despite the fact that many of the Doma have come over, they really haven't started battering for real, so not much will be implemented at that time, but we'll add some. So basically the answer is yes, but not quite yet. Question 2, I've noticed a lot of the recent content requires a lot of time to complete, the hunt, Zodiac Weapon, etc. Are you going to be focusing on this type of content in the future? The answer, I believe I mentioned this in a previous interview, but we see Final Fantasy XIV as something akin to a theme park, so the plan is to have a wide variety of content. The reason it seems like there has been a lot of this type of content recently is because we wanted to prioritize the implementation of content that requires a party. That's why it may appear that the implementation of solo content seems to be lacking. Party focused content tends to take a lot of time to implement, and we are now finally starting to catch up on the implementation process. While it seems like we have only been focusing on party focused content recently, we want to make sure to satisfy both casual and hardcore players, so we will do our best to have a great balance of both. So it's interesting that they said that they consider the game like a theme park, because I've always seen the game as a platform for doing various things. So that's what they're basically saying, is that given that the game is so wide and it has the ability to host different types of content, they will just be adding more and more as time goes on. So question 3, when are patch 2.3 and 2.4 planned for release? Also, can you tell us anything about patch 2.4? So they said, we're planning to release patch 2.3a about the timing of the Tokyo Game Show. As of patch 2.4, the team is working as hard as possible to ensure you don't have to wait too long, so please hang in there a bit longer. In patch 2.4 you'll be able to fight Shiva. The details about 2.4, well, I think you'll hear some stuff during the 14-hour stream, so be sure to stick around, okay? So I will rely on other people to talk about what was in the 14-hour stream, because I missed most of it. So question 4, instead of only having Coil and Extreme Primals endgame content, can you increase the amount of casual content? How much other content will be added moving forward in proportion to endgame content? And it says, by definition, endgame content is content for MMOs that does not end. With that said, elements of housing content can also be considered endgame content, and moving forward we'll be adding a variety of things. All the things we'll be adding content that you can participate in easily. For example, the new class and job will be adding in patch 2.4, and also the gold saucer that is coming in the future. Okay, question 5. Can you tell us about the new race? And said the new race, well, the animations are basically finished, but we think we'll announce it around the time a certain NPC reveals their face. So what they're talking about is probably the Doman race, so we'll see what it looks like, because she had her face covered for all of patch 2.3. So question 6, are you able to play content in the expansion pack even if we haven't completed all of Coil of Bahamut? The answer, yes, you'll be able to play without completing the dungeon. Okay, good. In the future, will you ever be able to go to the Chocobo forest that is mentioned in the information for the Draw Chocobo in the minion guide? It says, in Final Fantasy XIV, Ishgard is a place that breeds and raises chocobos, and they only export the males at the moment. The Chocobo forest in older Final Fantasy series games was made into something a bit newer, and it won't exactly be like it was in the past. Okay? Question 8. It would be awesome if there was a community event where we could design an item and the winner of the contest would have the item implemented in the game. They said, okay, while the content can be done through official forums, a lot of the characters that appear in the Final Fantasy series have a strict regulations of what they can and cannot wear. Even if we receive an awesome design, there's a chance we will not be able to implement it within the game. Therefore, we have to think about if we just want players to give us an image of the item and let the development team design the actual item, or reveal regulations and let the player design the item based on them. Okay, interesting enough. So basically they said they like the idea, but it will be done within strict rules. So question 9, will you be opening an Eorzean cafe in other regions besides the Kantoto region in Japan? I said we'll be discussing this as we check out how things are going at the moment. Okay, fair enough. Okay, question 10. Is there anything you can reveal about the expansion pack? They said, we have finalized the title of the expansion pack and in the process of working on the artwork. In addition, we have just finished building a mock-up of the field. We will be releasing more information in the future, so please stay tuned. Okay, well that's a good start, I guess, to have the title. Question 11, do you have any plans of releasing a new soundtrack? Nothing has been confirmed just yet, but there seems to be plans that are progressing. I'm assuming the soundtrack will probably go side by side with the expansion. Question 12, there is no Rogadin within the main group of Science and Seventh Dawn. Will we ever see one in the future? Answer, yes you will. Okay. 13. Will you be adding new reward items for players that already have 500 commendations? Says we haven't decided on the timing just yet, but we are making some to add. So I don't know if that means it's worth carrying on collecting them, but I mean you're going to get them whether you like them or not, because it's not you who gives them to you, it's other players. Question 14. I find it hard to get a party via Duty Finder for fights like Cape Westwind, the Striking Tree hard, the Whirlweater hard, because there are no important reasons for completing them a second time. Is there any way we could add rewards so that we have more people participating? Okay, so we'll look into the current situation and make necessary adjustments to the Duty Roulette and the category to make sure this doesn't happen. Okay, good. So they're just going to include these dungeons within the Duty Roulette so that they are picked up on a lot. Okay, question 15. We've already had collaboration events in Final Fantasy 13, 11, Dragon Quest X, but will there be other collaborations in the future for Square Enix games and other company games? Or other company games? So, though it is planned to take place in a bit in the future, we are in the midst of planning the next collaboration event. Due to the fact that Final Fantasy 14 is spreading globally, it's a bit tough to use things that can only be understood by Japan. So we're thinking we will have more collaborations with our own titles. Additionally, we'll be paying closer attention to whether tying two games together will readily make them more interesting. Okay, fair enough. So question 16, are there any plans to separate the restrictions of the second call Bahamut Savage and the normal version? It said in patch 2.4 the normal and savage mode of second call of Bahamut will be added to the Duty Finder and restrictions will no longer be there. As for the implementation of future Savage modes, we would like to make that decision based on how many players are actually playing the content. If we do decide to add more Savage modes in the future, we will consider either separating the entry restriction or keep them the same. Okay. Will you ever release Ultima Weapon Extreme? So our content schedule is pretty filled at the moment, so I think it would have to be implemented a bit in the future, but we would like to look into adding this. Okay. So currently, once you complete Call of Bahamut, you are unable to challenge it until the reset. If we are in an FC or LS with more than 8 players, it's hard to sync the progression of everyone in the FC LS. Is there any way you could change the once a week system so that we could help out our fellow FC LS members? As for the once a week system that we currently have in place, we are indeed looking into the matter, but we haven't been able to find an alternative system to take its place. So question 19 says, can you tell us anything about the Fan Festival? So it says, following right after the North American Fan Festival on October 17th, Europe will be holding theirs, and then Japan will take place later. Both the NA and JP Fan Festivals are scheduled for 2 days, and will be having different content each day. In addition to panels and cosplay on stage, we have a lot of plans for games and other plans on the show floor for everyone to participate in, and we're also planning to have goodies and a lot of other stuff. Okay, moving on. Okay, continuing on. Question 20. I love the Blue Mage job that appears on the Final Fantasy series. Will the Blue Mage job ever be implemented in Final Fantasy XIV? It says, I personally think the Blue Mage job is an interesting job because it requires learning an enemy's abilities. And it will probably be a lot of fun to play it if it's implemented. I guess that's a mistranslation. However, it's difficult to think about what role they will play in a party, so it will require a lot of thinking if we decide to implement the job in the future. Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. Is that which role would it be? Probably be DPS, but it's questionable, really. Will you ever bring back the player survey you used for version 1? It said at that time there was no forum to receive player feedback, so we gathered feedback through surveys, but now we are collecting them all the time through the forum community sites and by the letter from the producer live. Because of this, I think it's important to keep continuing the letter from the producer live first and foremost. Well, good. So currently the summoner job is a dot focused job, as in damage over time job, but I want them to be more of a pet focused job. Are there any plans to change the design of the summoner job? It says controlling the pet would require a lot of player skill, so it might be hard to find a good overall balance. It says, will you have periodic consensuses for Final Fantasy XIV on Reborn? It says, we conducted one last year for the Tokyo Game Show, and we are currently collecting and preparing various data for this year's Tokyo Game Show as well. So just to see, censuses, yeah, to see how many players, how many active, how much, whatever random statistics they might have. So it says, are you planning to make additions or expansions to the Wolf's Den in the future? It says, with the implementation of Frontline, there have been a good percentage of players who started to try out PvP for the first time, and I'm thinking with the percentage we've been seeing, it might be a good idea. However, for the moment, we'd like to keep increasing the amount of players participating in PvP, so I'd like to focus on Frontline for now. Once a bit more people get involved in PvP, I'd like to make adjustments to the Wolf Den by adding rankings and rewards to make it more competitive. Question 25. When are you planning to add the next step to the Zodiac Weapon storyline? Also, what's the item level for the next upgrade? It says, well, I cannot go into the item level just yet. I can say that the next step of the storyline will be added in patch 2.38. Wow. That's actually fairly soon. But saying that, I mean, I'm only 11 Alexandrites away from my Novus, so I guess there's been plenty of time to work towards it. Next question. There's currently an NPC that mentions a strange train. Do you have any plans to implement a quest based on what the NPC is referring to? While it might not necessarily be about the story that has been mentioned, we will continue to add lore-focused content and riddle-type quests in the future. Okay? After enhancing our Zodiac weapons, I'd like to glamour them with the Zenith or Animus look, so could you add some replicas of these items? It might be possible to do this as long as they don't have any battle-related differences. Okay? It says, with the Novus version of the Zodiac weapon, we are able to attach a desired set of stats to the weapon. Will the stats ever be reset in the future when they are upgraded? It says, no, the stats will not be reset. So whatever you decide to do will stick with you. So that's why I am spending my time to really make sure I get the right stats onto my Novus. It says, do you have any plans to ease the difficulty of obtaining the cosmetic gear, such as the swimwear that was released in patch 2.3? They are very difficult at the moment to obtain. And the reason they're very difficult to obtain is because you require certain items like waterproof cotton, which can only be got from high-level desynthing of fish. So, and that's kind of difficult for people to do right now. People really don't want to do that. So it says, I do feel that they're a bit too difficult to obtain at the moment, and I would like to make adjustments. Okay, cool. So they're going to go down in value, hopefully. Question 30. Are there any details you can reveal about the Gold Saucer? We are planning to implement Chocobo Racing and the Triple Triad card game. Other than that, we have plans to implement a basketball shooting-like minigame and an active event that will take place within the Gold Saucer. Please stay tuned. That's interesting. So, Triple Triad is the card game from Final Fantasy VIII, or might be from Final Fantasy IX as well. Can you make it so alike marks randomly spawn in the dungeons to boost the attractiveness of instant dungeons? If we were to make elite marks spawn in dungeons, unless we made the spawn rate extremely high, I don't feel that it would fulfill this purpose. Also, I think players would continue to reset the instance if nothing spawns, so it would be difficult to balance. We'll consider the feedback to add some random occurrences to dungeons. Okay, that'll make it interesting. So question 32. I would like to see new battle content that requires full party and or alliance, something along the lines of the combination of hunts and guild leaves. If I understand correctly, something like the currently implemented treasure hunt. So would you like to play as a group but not be interrupted by other players in the same field? I'll be sure to take this request back to the development team. Cool. It says, will you continue to add content that relies on fates in the future? It said, we've been receiving all of your feedback and we've been easing up on the fates that do not occur as often. While we can't guarantee that we won't add content like this in the future, we will take it into consideration. Can you increase the frequency of hotfixes and fine-tune PvP more? It says the development team would like to make adjustments to PvP values as much as possible, but we'd like to have the lead programmer Kazuka talk about patches, how patches are done, in the latter half of the show. Okay, so we'll see if there was more questions about this later on. So question 35, are there any plans to add a new tank or healer job? As for the implement of new jobs in the 2.0 series, Ninja will be the last one. For anything beyond the 2.0 series, we'll please wait for future announcements. So I guess what they basically are saying is that there won't be any new jobs until the expansion, which will be 3.0. It says, in a previous letter for the Producer Live, you mentioned that you might be making changes to the class job system. Can you tell us about this? Right now there's no information we can share, however there will be changes as we will be increasing the level cap. Okay, so I guess we'll see. Who knows, maybe they'll bring in advanced jobs to get you to the higher item level. Or higher level, I should say. So Kazuka, please give us an overview of what you are in charge of. So it says, generally I'm in charge of overseeing the engineer related tasks. To be a little more specific, I make the decision for larger issues, assign tasks and manage the schedule, etc. There isn't anything specific I worked on directly recently, but I'm also in charge of investigating bugs and looking into other issues that are happening on the live servers. Kazuka, can you tell us the status of the DirectX 11 client? We've essentially finished the drawing aspects. Next we'll be looking at expressions possible with DirectX 11, as well as how to achieve expressions that we couldn't with DirectX 9. So technically they're making progress, but they still have work to do. So Kazuka, I have enough skill to purchase land, but there aren't enough open spaces. When are you planning to add more land? Also, is there any information you can reveal about personal housing? So I apologise for the wait. We are continuing to look into the matter. As for future plans, we will be adding more land and implementing personal housing in patch 2.38. Please know that we will continue to look into how much land we will be able to add in future, even after patch 2.38. Okay, and that was previously announced about player housing. So question 40, Kazuka, with loads of characters focusing on hunt S rank elite marks, the monsters often disappear when fighting them. Do you plan on adding any countermeasures for hunt congestion? This is one of the questions I asked as well. It said, we already implemented countermeasures as we heard this previously, but the situation continues where you may not be able to see the monster. We've just determined the problem and we'll be fixing this in the next patch. I apologise. Okay, good. What that basically means is that when you have a big target like an S rank hunt mob and there's like 200 players around it and you can't see the mob anymore, they're going to be making it that the mob will stay on the screen regardless of how many players are there. So that's something they're working on for the next patch, which is good. So it says, Kazuka, do you have plans to implement open world dungeons like there were in 1.0? It says, from the lead programmer's perspective, if Yoshida wants to implement it, we will think about how we can implement it. As in, there are no plans. That's another way of saying no. So Kazuka, reflecting back on the past year, what's the one thing that remained on your mind? He says, there are a lot of tough memories, and I really remember the trouble during North America early access period where I wasn't able to go home for days. Okay. It says, Kazuka, when will be able to transfer to the Shinryu world? I'm guessing that's a new one. They said we're just waiting for the final approval from Yoshida. We should be able to open the world up as soon up, so please stay tuned. So Kazuka, I would like to use the PlayStation 4 second screen support to type text into the PlayStation 4 version, a feature that lets you input text remotely. While we currently have no plans to implement support for this, we may look into it if there's enough use for it. Kazuka, I mainly play on a Mac. Do you have any plans of introducing a Mac version? He said there's still some minor bugs, but we did get the game to run on Mac. We're at the point where we are deciding if it will actually be a wise business move or not. Okay, so they're deciding if they'll release on Mac or not. So Kazuka, please tell us the race, gender and main job of the character you play privately. Okay, so he's a male Rogadin. I used to main Paladin, but I often get a lot of emergency calls from the office while I'm in a dungeon and had to stop many times in between. Therefore, I had to change my main job to something else. So it says, what kind of items are decided immediately while developing? So it depends on the scale of the matter, but we decide who's in charge of what and how long they have to develop it. Okay, fair enough. Very vague. So it says, question 48, Kazuka, is there anything you want to tell Yoshi P? It says, well, I pretty much tell him everything I want to say normally, but I guess I just remind him to take care of himself. Okay, and the last question, Kazuka, what's the first thing you wanted to fix when the development of Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn started? It says it's hard to pinpoint one thing because I felt like a lot of things were missing from various places, simply put, everything. Okay, so that's basically it, kind of touching on the next patches of patch 2.38, talking about personal housing, and then 2.4 with fighting Shiva and the ninja battle and so on. They're saying ninja will be the last new job before the expansion, and talking about the expansion as well, that they will be raising the level cap, just general things that we kind of already knew. But anyway, yeah, so that's the live letter 17. So what did you guys think? Did you guys watch the 14-hour broadcast? Did you enjoy it? And we will see what other people will report on about the 14-hour thing, because I unfortunately wasn't able to watch a lot of it. So yeah, so if you have any feedback, any questions, any suggestions about the game, or anything you would like to see in the game, any thoughts at all, just leave them in the comments below. I do try to reply to them all. And also, if you have any comments or feedback or suggestions about my YouTube channel, then also feel free to comment. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.